Most people waste months trying to learn Turkish the wrong way. I taught Turkish to over 3,000 students in the last 7 years, and I kept seeing the same 4 mistakes over and over again. And the sad part is, these mistakes don't just waste people's time, they make people quit studying Turkish altogether. So in this video, I'm gonna show you what those mistakes are, and more importantly, what to do instead. So if you're planning to learn Turkish, this video will save you so much time. And the last mistake is the most important one. It completely changed how my students learn Turkish. So make sure to stay until the end. And by the way, we have a free Turkish starter course that covers all of these basics, and you can join for free with the link in the description, or you can just scan this QR code on the screen. Okay, so let's start with the first mistake, the one that wastes the most time. So the mistake is spending all your time learning new words. I know, that sounds completely backwards. Every teacher tells you to learn more words, but let me explain why that will actually slow you down in Turkish unless you understand one key point first. Okay, so in English, if I want to say I am at your house, I need 5 separate words, right? 5 words to express one idea. Now, how would you say that exact same sentence in Turkish? Evinizdeyim. Evinizdeyim. That's it. It's just one word. Now, don't worry, you don't have to memorize hundreds of long words. That's not how Turkish works. But pay attention. This word is actually 4 different pieces glued together like building blocks. Ev means house, iniz means your, de means at, yim means I am. So these are called suffixes in Turkish. Think of them like little pieces that add meaning to the main word. And here's the thing, once you understand these pieces, you can build anything. Now watch what happens when I change just the main word. Okay, evinizdeyim is I am at your house. Bahçenizdeyim, I'm at your garden. Kafenizdeyim, I am at your cafe. See, they're the same suffix pieces, I just changed the main words. But I can also use fewer pieces to say different things. For example, evinizde, at your house. Eviniz, your house. Evde, at the house. See, they're the same building blocks. You just choose which ones you need. That's basically how Turkish works. Yes, learning new words is important, I know, but suffixes are how you create new meanings in Turkish. So here's what I tell every new student when they start learning Turkish. For every hour you spend learning vocabulary, spend an hour learning suffixes too. Because once you understand the logic of Turkish suffixes, you don't need to memorize I am at your house or I am at your school as separate phrases. You just build them, and that changes everything. Now, there's this thing that everyone uses to learn Turkish, but it's almost useless because it kind of ignores everything that I just told you. Okay, so mistake number 2 is relying on language apps to learn Turkish. Now, look, I use Duolingo myself when I start learning a new language. It's really easy, it's fun, I like it. But when it comes to learning Turkish on Duolingo or on other apps, things change a little bit. These apps teach Turkish in a way that's almost useless, in the long term. And I'll show you why. Do you remember that word we just looked at? Evinizdeyim. It means I'm at your house. So Duolingo will show you that word, you will memorize it, but it will not show you that the word evinizdeyim is actually 4 building blocks that you can rearrange. It just taught you a phrase, not how Turkish works. So what usually happens is, and I cannot tell you how often I see this, someone finishes the entire Duolingo Turkish course, they're feeling good, thinking, okay, I'm probably like A2 level now in Turkish, and then they enroll in our A2 level course, and they cannot understand a thing. They're just so lost because our course is very comprehensive. It's not a game, right? It's a proper curriculum with everything you actually need to learn. So that's when they realize they actually hasn't learned much with Duolingo. And we actually have this student, his name is Rick. He left a comment saying that although he completed Duolingo Turkish course, he learned more in the first 3 units of our A1 level course. So I want you to think of it like this. Learning Turkish with Duolingo is like learning to cook by tasting finished meals. You try pizza, pasta, salad, and one day someone hands you the ingredients and says, okay, make dinner. You will have no idea what to do, right? That's what happens when you learn Turkish through apps alone. You memorize phrases, but you can't actually build sentences. You kind of sound like a very well-trained parrot.
Tamam.
But okay, most people know that apps have limits, right? What really tricks people is this next thing I'm gonna tell you. People usually think that it's better than any other study method. And I'm gonna be honest with you, some of you are probably gonna hate me for this next one. Okay, third mistake. Watching Turkish dramas to learn Turkish. Look, I get it. Some of you fell in love with Turkish watching Erkenci Kuş or Kara Sevda. You might be thinking, if I just watch enough episodes, I will speak Turkish one day. And here's the problem with that. Let's say you're watching an episode of some Turkish drama. Hande Erçel starts crying. You're like, oh no, something terrible happened. But you learned that from the music and from her face, not the Turkish. You could watch the same scene in Korean and understand the same thing. I had a student who watched Turkish dramas for like 3 months. And in our first lesson, I asked her, what did you have for breakfast? She stares at me and she starts in English. She stops, she tries again in English. She couldn't say I ate eggs in Turkish, or she couldn't make any sentence about her breakfast. And this is after 100 hours of exposure. I mean, sure, she improved her listening skills, but she didn't learn how to use Turkish. Because dramas teach you to recognize patterns, not build sentences. Yes, you can feel what's happening, but you can't really say anything yourself. You know how babies understand way more than they can say? Like, they know when you're mad or when you're happy. They can follow everything happening around them, but they can't speak yet. That's you. After 100 hours of Turkish dramas, you understand the emotions, you recognize some words, maybe sentences, but you just can't speak. And no, I'm not saying never watch dramas. They're amazing, I watch them too. But don't count them as studying. It's just entertainment with some exposure to Turkish, and that's fine. But if you want to actually learn Turkish instead of just understanding emotions from TV shows, you can check our Turkish master course. It basically teaches you exactly how Turkish works, the suffixes, grammar, the patterns, everything, in a way that's easy for you, in a way that makes sense. Here's the thing though, because we provide one-on-one support and feedback to all our students, we can only take a limited number at a time. So spots aren't always available. I will put the link in the description, and if there's space, you can join. Either way, the next mistakes I'm about to show you will still help you learn faster. This is gonna sound obvious, but you're probably still making it, and I can almost guarantee that if you fix it, you're gonna learn Turkish at least 3 times faster. Mistake number 4, not making Turkish friends. Yeah, I know, everyone says this. Find a language partner, talk to natives, but they don't tell you how to make Turkish friends and why it actually works. So I'm assuming you don't really take that advice seriously. When you're talking to a Turkish person, your brain works completely differently than when you're studying. For example, you have to remember words really fast. You don't have time to be thinking for 2 minutes. You just have to figure it out how to express what you want to say. And that means your brain is under pressure. Because honestly, you just don't want to look like an idiot in front of someone you like. And that pressure helps you learn Turkish way more efficiently. You know, textbooks don't create that pressure, apps don't, and Turkish TV shows don't too. Let me tell you this story, okay? I had this student, Emma. She was a very good student, she did all her homework, but when we were practicing speaking, she wasn't able to speak much. She was so hesitant, it was just not working for her. Then she started dating a Turkish guy. 3 months later, she comes back for a lesson. I ask her a question and she starts speaking Turkish really well. Like, I was so surprised. I asked her, what happened? Like, how do you improve your Turkish? And she goes, I've been speaking Turkish every day with my boyfriend and his friends. You know, I was shocked. So that's what happens when you actually use Turkish instead of just studying it. You know those suffixes that I showed you in the beginning and how important they are? You can't learn to stack them from a textbook. You learn by using them over and over in real conversations. When you need to say something fast, your brain is just like grabbing whatever is inside and building sentences. So here's what I want you to do today. Try to socialize, try to connect with just one Turkish person. Just one. You can find someone online. There's HelloTalk, there's Tandem, Reddit. If you live in Turkey, you can join activities that Turkish people join. And if you're abroad, you can join Turkish expat groups on Facebook. There's just a lot of ways, you know. You just have to actually do it. And also, isn't this why you're actually learning Turkish? Like, to connect with people, to discover the culture, to actually use the language. Okay, so those are the 4 mistakes almost everyone makes when they start learning Turkish. Look, I know Turkish isn't easy, but it's also not impossible. The difference between people who actually learn Turkish and people who quit after a few months is not their talent, really. It's just knowing what to focus on. So let me recap what we covered today. First, learn suffixes, not just vocabulary. For every hour of vocabulary, spend an hour on suffixes. Second, apps are fine for practice, but don't rely on them as your main method. Third, Turkish dramas are entertainment. Watch them if you want, but don't count it as studying. And fourth, find one Turkish person to practice with. You will learn Turkish way faster. Now, if you want a clear learning path that actually teaches Turkish the way it works, we design our Turkish master courses exactly for that. And you can check it out with the link in the description. But whatever method you choose, remember these 4 principles. Because if you focus on the right things, you will improve your Turkish way easier and way faster than you expect. And speaking of focusing on the right things, watch this next video. Next, it's our complete guide to structuring your study sessions so you actually make progress instead of wasting time on things that don't work. Well, görüşürüz.